Shanti Shanti. Om Stapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharmaswarupine Stapakaya cha dharmasya sarvadharmaswarupine Avadaravarishthaya Ramakrishna te namaha. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityoramamritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us offer our salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, the Supreme God Incarnate. Let us pray to Him to lead us from the unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. We have been discussing some of the topics taken from the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna in the Gospel. Today's topic I have chosen: engage the mind in a spiritual way. We are facing all sorts of problems and crises in our life because of the mind being directed towards the activities which entangle us more and more in the unreal things. So, if we have to realize the truth, it is possible only when we engage the mind in a spiritual way. So, how important it is that we should give top priority for engaging the mind in a spiritual way. Everybody has to struggle. Without struggle, you won't get anything. So, action is demanded. We are born in this world to act upon. How do we act? That's very important. So, before action is initiated, you must know the purpose of the activity. That means the goal must be very, very clear. You shouldn't have any iota of doubt about fixing your goal. So, reaching the abode of God, realizing the truth is possible only when you have full control over the activities of the mind. Sri Ramakrishna was talking to devotees In the course of his talks, Sri Ramakrishna said, the bhaktas, that is the devotees, the lovers of God, retain I consciousness. The jnanis, those who follow the path of knowledge, do not. Nangta, that is Totapari, who was the guru of Sri Ramakrishna, he used to teach how to establish oneself in the true self. That means how to establish one's mind in the Atman, which is the true self. He said, merge the mind in the buddhi. Buddhi means intellect. And the buddhi in the Atman, that is the true self. When you are able to do that, then you will be established in your true self. That means you become the knower of Atman, you become the knower of truth. Again, Sri Ramakrishna tells in the Gospel, I clearly see that God is everything. He himself has become all. I see that whatever is God. He is everything. Again, he is beyond everything. I come to state in which my mind and intellect merge in the individual self. That means it merges in the indivisible. The scriptures also say to merge the mind into the intellect and the intellect into the Atman. So the ideas must be very clear, must have very clear concept in spiritual life. Most important fact is that you must be very steady. Without steadiness, no spiritual life is possible. You have to be very firm and steady. The scriptures also say to merge the mind into the intellect and the intellect into the Atman. What is meant by merging? It's a very important question to contemplate. The mind always cogitates various thoughts and various ideas contrary to one another. They constantly keep arising in the mind. Many people complain that they are not able to meditate. It's a very common complaint, extremely common. They want to live spiritual life, but they can't. That's the position. And they complain that their mind is unsteady. So why the mind became unsteady? Because you made the mind unsteady. Why don't you admit that fact? So it makes the point more clear that you have to make the mind steady. That's the first spiritual practice you have to undertake before thinking of spiritual life. The fact is that if the mind is left free to do its own, it will follow its nature and it remains occupied with various thoughts. That's what the mind does. So what's the way? The way is the intellect is required. Here the importance of the function of the intellect you should understand very clearly. What is this intellect? The intellect is the determinative faculty. It decides this is right and must be done. This is wrong and so it must not be done. The intellect decides that there must be only one ultimate goal or ideal, that of God realization or self-realization. So, the intellect is directing us to make the mind focused on one single idea. Then it gets merged into the intellect. Thence onwards, the intellect alone helps in meditation and leads from meditation to samadhi, total absorption in the bliss of the Absolute. It is at that point the intellect gets merged into Atman. That is the highest state of joy and peace. It is not a dry phenomenon. It is an experience which gives you indescribable joy. Therefore, it is essential to control the mind if you want to achieve something in spiritual life. What is spiritual practice? It is nothing but making the mind go towards God. Pulling up the mind from the entanglements. Sri Ramakrishna said to M, again I am quoting the Gospel, the Divine Mother Jagadhatri reveals herself in the heart of one who can control the mind, which may be compared to an elephant. Rakhal, one of the most favorite disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, he was there when Sri Ramakrishna was saying this. He said, the mind is a mad elephant. That's how the mind is described. It is a mad elephant. Why the people are crazy? Because of the mind. Because the mind goes berserk, so the people are crazy. Sri Ramakrishna replied, therefore, the lion, the carrier of the Divine Mother, keeps it under control. without properly taking hold of the mind, people try to meditate. You can call it as meditation, but it is no meditation at all. Either they are getting confused by various thoughts during the time of meditation, or they fall asleep. Both are tamasika states. They are signs of inertia. Instead of trying to meditate that way, if one takes up one holy scripture, reads it for an hour or so, reading the scripture willingly, devotedly, for about an hour, that itself will act as meditation. Because during that 1 hour, the mind will not be able to run around to various objects and would flow consistently in one direction. You are automatically concentrating on what you are reading. As I said, you must read willingly and devotedly. Thus, the mind gets controlled. At least at that point of time, mind is not wavering or going to some other field, thinking something else. But some may think that the mind remains occupied with so many things, job-oriented thoughts, unfinished jobs. Yesterday, that is not yesterday, Sunday we had a program in Madison. Saturday I went. We did Shivanam Sankirtan in the evening. And Sunday I did worship of Ramakrishna in the house of the devotee who comes here and offers his service during Holy Mother's birthday. So after worship, everything is over. Then the devotee wanted to show me the whole house, because he has occupied a new home, a good looking home, nice features, nicely built. And he was showing me all around this room, that is this room. Here my son stays, here I stay, etc., etc. In course of going around, he showed me one room. Then he said, "This is my office, Swamiji. This is my office." Office? You have got your own company. Your office is the company, is it not? True, but I can't finish all the work in the office. I have to do it in the home also. That means a lot of unfinished works will be there, which he cannot cope up with in the office schedule. So he has to do in the home also. So that means even in the home he is not free in a way, though he appears to be free, because his mind is always bugging. His mind is always pressurizing him. I have to do this, I have to do that, I have not done this. Tomorrow that man will call me. I have to keep up schedule, etc. So, the point is, the mind is oriented in a worldly way tremendously. Not only that, it is involved in so many other things also: family, money matters, property. So many things. Yesterday one devotee came to talk to me. She was telling there was some ancestral property, and so she came to know that there was nobody to take care of that. She went to see the status of that property, and naturally if nobody is giving attention, it will be grabbed by somebody else. And she was telling how it was very difficult to fight with, because the land belongs to her, which was being grabbed by some other people. And she had to enter into litigation. Went on for years, and then she got some kind of settlement. That means how much the mind is made to pass through tremendous pressure, stress and strain. It is quite true. So with that mind, how is it possible, ever possible, to meditate properly? Of course, the family people, they have certain duties. Once they have entered into family life, they can't simply say, I will not do this, not do that, etc. You have to do, you must do, whether you like it or not. That is the force of the duty. Because you have entangled yourself, you feel guilty if you don't do it. Suppose you bring a pet to your home. It is under your care. So all the time you will be thinking about the pet. So there comes the point of duty. The family must be looked after. In order to do that, one has to earn money. Without earning money, what do you do? How do you take care of the family? To be able to lead a decent, cultured life in the world, certain things must have to be done. One must have a house, and one must maintain it, and so on. Among the householders, some, they make a very, very casual remark, that is philosophizing their way of life. Philosophizing, that is extremely superficial. They say, oh, Lord's will be done. Everything depends on the Lord's mercy. The jiva is only an instrument. They talk wonderful philosophy. They talk in that fashion. They are married, they have got children, and yet they sit idly without moving the limbs. This is not dependence on God. This is the sign of idleness and inertia. dependence on God, on His grace, these come only in the end, when after doing one's level best for fulfilling one's duties, one is not able to cope up with their demands, then only shall one realize that without the grace of God one has no other goal. He is really then aspiring for God's grace. Then he finds God's grace truly descends. At that point alone total surrender comes, and then alone the Divine Mother takes her child into her lap. Not to do anything and expect God to do everything is an absolutely unacceptable proposition. What's the meaning of that? It means one must definitely exert oneself to the utmost. That's what I told in the beginning. You have to struggle. There must be self-effort. There's a technique by which the mind can be controlled. The best and easiest method is to first of all decide what must be done as a duty, and then to go on doing it in a disciplined way. This is Karma Yoga. But then in the interval between two bits of work, one must remember God. As if one is doing the work after taking His permission. As one continues with this practice, gradually love for God would go on increasing. Next, of the various activities, a few must be given up, because there is no end to the activities. Your whole life is not sufficient for completing the activities which you have undertaken. That means you have to put a stop somewhere. That is, suppose you take a family, you are raising the child, he gets settled down in life after his graduation and so on. At that point, the father should not give up. The father should give up worrying about the boy's future anymore, because he has done his duty. He has given the education, he has raised him well. That's all. The rest is he should conduct himself properly. So, in the same way, when everything is done in a proper way, one should feel a kind of satisfaction and engage the mind in a spiritual way. That means, in the beginning itself I told, unless you engage the mind in a spiritual way, you won't get anything in spiritual life. Just as you get everything in the world by engaging the mind in the worldly way, in the same way you get everything in spirituality by engaging the mind in a spiritual way. In this way, if one gradually relinquishes anxieties and desires, then the mind will get attached to only one idea, one desire. This idea is the remembrance of God, which was present, associated with every work. Then alone the thought of total renunciation would arise. The meaning of total renunciation is that the whole mind must be lifted up thoroughly, as it were, and directed towards God. The mind must be filled up with spiritual ideas relating to God. That's called renunciation. The mind doesn't wander anywhere else. It doesn't want to go anywhere. It just wants to march onwards, upwards, till the goal is reached. This must come in everyone's life, whether in this life or in some other future birth. Without total renunciation, there cannot be self-realization. It is true, renunciation is extremely difficult. It is not possible for the people living in this world in a worldly way. True. It is true. And so you can't have any spiritual upliftment at all. You may talk about spiritual matters, but it stops at that level, finished. Swami Vivekananda has said, nothing can be achieved without renunciation. Then what's the way? Sri Ramakrishna said, people ordinarily in the world have got so many responsibilities and live family life. So, how they should practice spirituality? How they should practice renunciation? Sri Ramakrishna answers that question. He says, they should renounce mentally, not outwardly. The householders must renounce internally, not externally. People talk of renunciation. One of the devotee came to a Swami and asked about renunciation and was discussing the matter with him. And the Swami said to him, well, you are talking so much about renunciation. Will you be able to renounce if I ask you? Renunciation is not so easy. One has to remain totally helpless and supportless. Are you ready to give up your entanglements? If you say no, then what's the way? That means the way for you is different. Accept the state in which the Lord has kept you, but never forget to remember God's name. Don't get attached to anything. Live in a moderate way. Don't go to excesses. Live depending upon God. O Lord, may thy will be done. Let this be your attitude and mood. Don't be afraid. The infinite Lord has this time incarnated with his Shakti for the good of the world. That is Sri Ramakrishna. Why do you fear? Sri Ramakrishna is there. The Holy Mother is there. Swami Vivekananda is there to guide, keeping the goal steadily in sight, holding on to the goal, the ideal. Steadily move on, taking his name. You will get filled with joy. But then you must call on God, not merely verbally, it must be from the heart. God's name alone is the real thing. One must hold on to Sri Ramakrishna's name, and one must think of his divine sports. That is one way of meditation. For example, Sri Ramakrishna is seated in a small cot in his room. Devotees are seated around and are listening to his ambrosial words. Sri Ramakrishna is in deep meditation at Panchavati. There is profound silence around. He is the very embodiment of incomparable compassion. He becomes one with whichever deity he meditates upon. Once Sri Ramakrishna was going in a horse carriage. He was passing near the Nakoda Mosque on the Chitpur Road in Calcutta. Sri Ramakrishna suddenly became half-absorbed state. What happened? Inside the mosque, a fakir was there. He was alone. He was calling on God. Come, O beloved, come. Come, O beloved. So that fakir was calling from his heart, and that call was heard by Sri Ramakrishna going in the horse carriage. He stopped the carriage. He got down from the carriage, entered into the mosque. He ran towards the fakir and stood in front of him. He stood in front of him. The fakir opened his eyes. He felt immensely joyful on seeing Sri Ramakrishna. Probably Sri Ramakrishna revealed to that fakir as Allah. That I don't know. But anyway, the fakir was extremely happy. He opened his eyes, shed tears of joy, and then again closed his eyes and starts meditating. So Sri Ramakrishna, he is the incarnation in this modern age. He said, always keep your mind on God. In the beginning, you must struggle a little. Later on, you will enjoy your pension. Sri Ramakrishna tells this in the Gospel. One must struggle to the utmost, must hold on to one idea. It must engulf you. Mere discussions about Vedanta will not do. You have already done a lot of studies. Now get down to work. Application of what you have learned must be done, must be taken up. That's the way of engaging the mind in a spiritual way. Do worship, do spiritual practice, just remaining inactive now with this idea, Lord's will be done. That will not do. You must hold on to upasana, that is worship. One must work very hard. One must try one's utmost. Sri Ramakrishna's divine presence is there in the temple. Repeat the God's name from sunrise to sunset. Then see how God's name remain away from you. One must remain lying at the door of the Lord for days at a stretch. day after day, without any other thought, then only one succeeds. You might say, is it possible? Can we do it? If you can't, the other way is engage yourself in such activities as cleaning utensils, sweeping Sri Ramakrishna's temple, clean it, till the ground, water the plants, take care of the garden. If you can't do even that, then do what you want, but don't come to us to complain. These are the words told by one of our great Swamis. Is it so easy? You think that the Guru will do everything for you? He will look after your well-being? Who is the Guru? Sri Ramakrishna alone is the Guru. He is the Jagat Guru. He is the all in all. The Guru who imparts you a mantra, who initiates you, is the conduit through which the divine power flows. One will have to get hold of that source of Shakti. At the time of japa, whether you understand the meaning of the mantra or not, sit for japa with the firm faith and think that I shall definitely attain my cherished goal. Read the works of Swami Vivekananda, especially his letters and lectures from Colombo to Almora. We can understand a little of Sri Ramakrishna only when we try to do so in the light of Swami Vivekananda's teachings. One must do intense spiritual practice, but while doing so, don't try to assess your progress. If you do so, you will stumble and fall. Where do you have the capacity to assess your progress? Mantra means mantore. Mind is yours. That's the meaning. Mantore. That means as you go on doing japa, you will again control over the mind. You will gain control over the mind. To think that first let there be love for God and then I shall chant the name of God is not right. First do japa. Love for God will definitely arise in our heart. Keep the pictures of Sri Ramakrishna and Sri Sharada Devi in your meditation room. Many devotees keep the pictures and images of many gods and goddesses on their altar. Sri Ramakrishna himself had incarnated in previous births in various forms. Hence, after offering salutations to all the deities, worship Sri Ramakrishna. Kamarpakur, Jairambati, Belur Math and Kashipur Garden House, Udbodh and Dakshineshwar. These are the Mahatirthas, the great places of pilgrimage. What is required is holy company and remaining associated with any one of these places. On special occasions, it is essential to visit any one of these. So, do japa and meditation to your heart's content as much as you can. Mind must be controlled before it becomes restless. Does one dig a foundation after the rains set in? Mind must be brought under one's control before such a situation arises. Do discrimination between what is truth and what is untruth, and pray importunately. What should you seek? That sense enjoyment which leads to suffering, or that by which you get infinite unending happiness? Bliss of God realization is immeasurable. To get rid of lust, one must get hold of the embodiment of love. God is the embodiment of love. Daily pray to God that He may not entangle you in any other worldly activities. One must keep holy company. It helps in keeping evil thoughts away. It is not wise to do something which entails heavy labor. Don't engage yourself in such activities which make you terribly exhausted. But then one cannot remain without work. Therefore, mind must be kept engaged with remembrance of God and work. However, by doing strenuous work excessively, spiritual practice suffers. Because when you exert yourself too much, then you will not be able to do any spiritual practice in that state. Nothing can be achieved without character. So, the substance of the topic today is engage the mind in a spiritual way. Page 779. Sri Ramakrishna said, some people climb the 7 floors of a building and cannot get down, but some climb up and then at will visit the lower floors. Uddhava said, are open? Mahima said, I have a question to ask, sir. A lover of God needs nirvana sometime or other, doesn't he? Nirvana means total annihilation of the ego. Sri Ramakrishna answered, it can't be said that bhaktas need nirvana. According to some schools, there is an eternal Krishna and there are also his eternal devotees. Krishna is spirit embodied and his abode also is spirit embodied. Krishna is eternal and the devotees also are eternal. Krishna and the devotees are like the moon and the stars, always near each other. You yourself repeat, what need is there of penance if God is seen within and without? Further, I have told you that the devotee who is born with an element of Vishnu cannot altogether get rid of bhakti. Once I fell into the clutches of a jnani. The master was speaking of Totapuri, whom he always referred to as Nangta, who made me listen to Vedanta for 11 months. But he couldn't altogether destroy the seed of bhakti in me. No matter where my mind wandered, it would come back to the Divine Mother. Whenever I sang of her, Nangta would weep and say, oh, what is this? You see, he was such a great jnani, and still he wept. To the younger Narayan and the others, remember the popular saying that if a man drinks the juice of the alec creeper, a plant grows inside his stomach. Once the seed of bhakti is sown, the effect is inevitable. It will gradually grow into a tree with flowers and fruits. You may reason and argue 1,000 times, but if you have the seed of bhakti within you, you will surely come back to Hari. The devotees listened silently to the master. Sri Ramakrishna asked Mahima, laughing, what's the thing you enjoy most? Mahima smilingly answered, nothing, sir. I like mangoes. Master said smilingly, all by yourself, or do you want to share them with others? Mahima said smilingly, I am not so anxious to give others a share. I may as well eat them all by myself. Master said, but do you know my attitude? I accept both, the Nitya and the Leela. Doesn't God exist if one looks around with eyes open? After realizing him, one knows that he is both the Absolute and the universe. It is he who is the indivisible Satchidananda. Again, it is he who has become the universe and its living beings. One needs sadhana. Mere study of the scriptures will not do. I noticed that though Vidyasagar had no doubt read a great deal, he had not realized what was inside him. He was satisfied with helping boys get their education, but had not tasted the bliss of God. What will mere study accomplish? How little one assimilates. The almanac may forecast 20 measures of rain, but you don't get a drop by squeezing its pages. I shall stop here. The point is how far you will be able to engage your mind in spiritual idea. See, suppose you sit for meditation. No doubt you sit in for meditation, but you become restless because the mind wanders because of various reasons. So in that case, even though you are sitting, you can't call it as meditation. Meditation is successful only when the mind is not allowed to wander about. So that means you have to take care, you have to set properly the mind on the spiritual idea, and at least at the time of meditation you should not drift your mind in any other way. If you are able to do that way, meditation is quite all right, and you will be able to get some kind of peace in the mind. Otherwise you will be sitting and getting up, that's all, but you will be as you were before. You are trying to pull the mind back, but it's a struggle. You keep on doing that. You keep on doing that. So the real meditation has not started yet. Real meditation starts only when the mind is fully concentrated. Then only meditation starts. Full concentration is not possible when the mind is wandering here and there. So that means if the mind is wandering so much, you must find out the reason why the mind is wandering so much. So you have to find out the reasons, and you have to take remedial steps to counteract them. Then it's okay. The point is, I'm trying to focus it on this idea that you have to give full attention to the function of your mind. You must become fully aware of what your mind is doing, and all the time you must be capable of making the mind more and more come towards God by engaging the mind in spiritual ways, as you have been doing. You are coming to chapel, you are helping Vedanta in many ways, and so many things you are doing. That's good. So that means you are creating a parallel samskaras in your mind. When they become strong, then you will be able to have some steadiness in the mind. Steadiness is important in spiritual matters. It is really very, very important. Without steadiness, you can't expect any spiritual life, but you have to build up that steadiness. Everything you have to do it by practice. So we know many things theoretically, but application. Sri Ramakrishna's life is a life of application. When you come to Sri Ramakrishna, you must be ready to apply all the learning into action. Say loudly. Ask loudly. Little. No. The point is, once you have accepted it, then it is your duty now. That's what I'm telling. In the beginning I told how duty comes. Once you have taken that into your care, you are wholly responsible for everything about it. That way you are tied down. You are tied down in that way. So your mind will be always thinking about KD, not on God. It's a different matter. I am telling you. Who asked you to receive the gift? There are so many things that people give gift. Do you mean to say you should take the gift? One of the spiritual practices is don't accept any gift from anybody. Why should I accept the gift? Tell me. Huh? No. Once you have taken the responsibility of taking care of your dog, then the matter is over. Then you are held responsible. Otherwise you feel guilty. That's why the question of duty comes there. That means you have to fulfill the duty, whatever may be, but at the same time think of God. Good. If you are able to hold on to God and carry your duty, then question doesn't arise. Good. If you have that attitude, and if you are able to remember God under all circumstances, you are a wonderful devotee, I should say. Think. Wandering of the mind is not called meditation. I told you already. Meditation is possible only when you concentrate upon one spiritual idea, and the whole mind must be focused on that. Then it becomes meditation. That means mind must be absorbed. Suppose you are thinking of Sri Ramakrishna, the mind should not think of anything else other than Sri Ramakrishna. If that is done properly, then you feel joyful after the meditation. Oh, today the whole world was totally forgotten. All the time I was with Sri Ramakrishna. I was on the lap of Sri Ramakrishna. You feel immensely grateful and joyful. That is the indication that your meditation has been successful. Any questions? John? Do you have?
We don't practice meditation. We're practicing to practice.
You can say we are on the way to meditation. That I accept. But that's also the way also. You must be sincere. Then God will appreciate you. God certainly will help you. One must be sincere in doing the things. So everything is, in spiritual matters, everything is put into test. Well, that is the way. One has to struggle, no doubt. So engage the mind in a spiritual way. Yeah, because I told in the beginning how the mind merges in intellect and the intellect merges in Atman. So stop. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust raging furiously within. O name streamed down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself. O self, drowned deep in the waves of His bliss, tasting His nectar at every step, bathing in His name that bought for weary souls. Various are thy names, O Lord, in each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy, how huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass, be patient and forbearing like a tree, take no honor to thyself, give honor to all, chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue, the playthings of lust or the toys of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is thy servant, O sweet one. In thy mercy consider him as dust beneath thy feet. Oh, how I long for the day when an instant separation from thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, when my heart burns away with its desire, and the world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at thy feet let me be, in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O thou who stillest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere. May all be healthy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous attain tranquility, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the freed make others free. May good betide all people, may the sovereign righteously rule the earth, may all beings ever attain what is good, may the worlds be prosperous and happy. May the clouds pour rain in time, may the earth be blessed with crops, may all countries be freed from calamity, may holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works, be satisfied. For he being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe is satisfied.